welcome to Play It Co-op Podcast. And we're actually not going to be playing together today. We're going to be playing versus each other. And we're playing some Tecmo Bowl. I'm here with Lumberjack Crack, some retro sports gamer, and we're off to go do it right now.
I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, Tecmo Bowl, this is a series that I don't know if I could ever do it justice covering it, but, just to play it and talk about it is a good start,
You notice anything interesting about these logos that they have made up for the teams? Like they're just like mythical creatures. Like Indianapolis is a narwhal.
Yeah, they didn't have the license to the NFL in this game. They had the license to the NFLPA. So that's why you have that.
Interesting enough, this is the first NES football game that has the actual player names.
Yeah. The LJN NFL game had
the teams.
The team license, and that game, I haven't played it, but it looks terrible.
Oh, LJN, they're a toss-up.
Yeah, LJN has some notoriously bad games on the NES.
A little junky nonsense.
Yeah, little junky nonsense. Alright, so we're going to play two players. Hold on, I'll be right back. You carry it for a second.
So the arcade version of this game, actually, which this is made from, the arcade version came out in '87, and that has 4 players and 2 monitors for the cabinet. In that game, there's only 2 teams to select from, and it's just the right side and the left side. But it's the Wildcats versus the Bulldogs. So.
Yeah, and inserting the coins in that game actually gives you more time. The reason I know it, I've played it, they have it actually at Headquarters Beercade in River North in Chicago.
Oh, really? I haven't actually played
in the basement. So they don't open the basement every night, but when they do, like on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, they have Tecmo Bowl. And I don't think there's too many out there, but they have it. So this one is made off of that game. Came out in 1989, and we have 12 12 teams here.
There's the large debate within the Tecmo community of what these teams are based off of. They originally thought it was based off of the teams that made it to the playoffs, but at the time there was only 5 teams from each division. The AFC and the NFC.
Yeah.
So there's 12 teams in this game, so they think it's based off of popularity.
Yeah, that probably had something to do with it. You going with the 49ers?
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm going with the Bears.
Joe Montana, you can't go wrong. Unless I'm wrong about that.
Just hit A on him.
I keep thinking it's start. I was trying to hit select to switch between the teams. What game is that I'm getting confused with?
I don't know. The retro games, they all have kind of wacky controls, even though there's only a few buttons. But a lot of the games, you hit select to change your team, or change like the menu screen. You just hit select to switch on the next item on the menu.
A really interesting thing about this that you can notice right away is there's 9 players instead of 11.
Yes, and I think that had to do due to some technical limitations, and I'm also pretty sure it had to do with the fact that football wasn't as well known in Japan, or American football, and the developers may have missed a few things in the rules.
I can notice right away the difference. There's a little less sprite flicker than there is in Super Tecmo Bowl in this game.
Yeah,
it's probably because there's 4 less players on the field. The sprites are a lot bigger in this game. You see a lot less of the field due to that.
Yeah, the sprites are bigger. You also see the football has, like, it kind of looks like a nut, but yeah, Walter Payton breaking tackles, but it has to do with the laces. I think that's
you can
what
actually see the laces in this.
Well, I think that's why there's like a line through the ball. They're trying to show the laces.
Oh wow, that's really detailed.
But yeah, there was just an article that came out recently. I think the guy's name was Leo something. He interviewed the two guys who were like the fathers of Tecmo Super Bowl.
The fathers?
Yeah, the guys who actually developed the game or programmed the game. It was a really interesting article, and one thing they did say, the developer said, is they had to trick the Nintendo to get 22 players on the field. So that's probably why this game has 9-on-9 compared to the 11-on-11.
Yeah, it might have something to do with memory limitations, and it's usually a multiple of some number that I can't pull off the top of my head right now, so that might have something to do with it, based off the amount of sprites. Makes sense.
4-6, I'm going for it.
So the thing that kind of sucks about this one is there's only 4 plays, and if you're not familiar with this game, on defense, you try to select what play the other player is going to pick, and if you select that play, you automatically blitz in. So there's a 25% chance that you're going to get blitzed on.
Yes, that is true. It's the odds aren't too good in your favor as far as that's considered. But you know, you just got to play the odds, I guess. You don't have a choice.
So usually there's an even amount of plays. One team will have 2 running plays and 2 passing plays, but the 49ers and the Miami Dolphins are different in this game. They have 3 passing plays and 1 running play. It's probably because their offense is better that way. Is Jerry Rice on this team?
Jerry Rice is on the team.
Oh, okay. Is John Taylor on the team?
I don't know if John Taylor's on the 49ers here.
Am I past the 50?
4th and 3. No, you're right at the 50. I think in this game, the field goal...
It's all based off
kickers,
of the power bar.
Yeah, they have to be closer to 45, I think, in this game. But you could try it, see what happens, then at least...
No, I'm going to go the safe route and actually
You were past the 50.
I like how the punter looks like he's actually going to pass the ball until you hit the button.
So, yeah, what you were saying with the pass plays, the Niners and the Dolphins both have great quarterbacks, and they're known to be more of a passing teams, with Joe Montana on the 49ers and Dan Marino on the Dolphins, which is represented by Miami in this game.
So, as far as I know, this is the only game that features Walter Payton in it. Is that true, or is there another game?
I didn't look into that specifically, but I can't recall unless there was another game in the 80s or early 90s that
I don't know. That's probably a bad.
If there is one,
stat.
I'm sure it sucks. And offense is not as easy in this game as it is in Tecmo Super Bowl. My skills are not transitioning very...
No, not at all. You're getting plowed.
But it's alright.
I'm not doing very well either. If this was like Tecmo Super Bowl, you'd be beating me already, probably.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it is like it. It's just, it's the first version of it.
So another interesting thing that's different about this than Super Bowl is that You cannot fumble in this game.
You can't fumble. Right.
The only version of turnover is the interception.
And interceptions are very easy to do in this game. Almost every time a receiver's covered, it's an interception. Regardless of the player that's covering. So it's just like what happened right there. You cannot make an error like that.
That looked like it was planned, but it wasn't.
I thought the game just froze up. It looked like it glitched. So, as I was researching this game, there is a website dedicated to this game, specifically Tecmo Bowl 1 and RBI Baseball, and they have hacked the ROM to know the statistics of the players on the teams. So this game did have statistics.
It was just not viewable?
It just was not viewable.
Huh.
So the website has the statistics for all the teams, for RBI and this game. It's an excellent website. Listen to a couple of podcasts on that site of the guy breaking down the strategies of the games and the players. It's really amazing the thought that has been put into this version of the game, because I've heard it for Tecmo Super Bowl, the amount of detail, but not this game. And the fact that there is now known statistics out there of each player, it's really awesome to look at.
The funny thing about this is if this was a really bad game, there wouldn't be such a large community behind it that would actually break that stuff down. But this is, a really good game. I wouldn't say that this is the better version. Tecmo Super Bowl
Touchdown.
Definitely better than this. But I think a lot of people, when they hear Tecmo Bowl, they think of this game before Tecmo Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think it just depends on when you were born and what you've experienced first.
Yeah.
So, like, for instance, this game came out in 1989. This was not the first Tecmo Bowl that I got to play. It was Tecmo Super Bowl.
I just thought of something. This game is usually the one that gets put on a virtual console, not Tecmo Super Bowl. And even though that one's better. And it's probably because this game is way easier to change, because all you have to do is change the players' names to numbers. And if you were to do that with Tecmo Super Bowl, you'd have to get rid of the teams. So they'd have to create sprites for each team.
Yep.
And get rid of the players. So they don't want to put that much effort into putting the better game on.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but the real way to play any of these games is on its native console. And before I didn't like digital downloads, I remember getting this on the virtual console on the original Wii. And it was a huge disappointment because it didn't have the player names.
So also, if you're not familiar with this game, and I don't know if the mic's picking it up, you hear us mashing the button whenever we get into a tussle. That's pretty much what determines you getting past somebody to break a tackle. So if you don't do a slide tackle, you get stuck into that little tussle there, and then you just have to drill the A button until the tackle's broken or you get tackled.
Yeah, that is a mechanic that...
Oh my god. Killed.
It's so unique to Tecmo Bowl, and it really makes the game a lot of fun with that. When you get into like a wrestling match, you gotta tap A faster than your opponent. Is that a touchback? Yeah.
Yeah, you must love that because you have a bicep in your thumb.
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, I'm not. When I go to when I went to the Tecmo Super Bowl tournament, and I went to the Madison one multiple times, I cannot out tap the better players. But that doesn't mean that you can't beat someone you can't out tap, because the guy who won really couldn't out tap many of the players. It's about knowing your drone players on the field and how to utilize them.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into this game. It's a little ridiculous when you think about it that there's so much that goes into it. It's just an NES game.
Throwing a bomb to Willie Galt. He's not too fast. See, it seems like unlike Tecmo Super Bowl, where if you can out-tap the other guy regardless of their power, you're going to flick off of them, but I think the power in this game has more to do with if you're going to knock them down or not. Because I really felt like I should have out-tapped you right there, and you still got me.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you thought you out-tapped me.
That was a bad pass. Oh, I don't know how that was picked.
Who's your quarterback? I didn't pay attention.
Jim McMahon.
It's McMahon? Okay.
9 seconds.
Not too familiar with the rosters.
Alright, 5 seconds left. I'm going for a field goal.
Oh, are you? I really hope you're good at putting in power, because...
There it is. Kevin Butler.
That didn't look like it went through the uprights. Look what it looked like it went all the way to the side.
It did, but it went through. That's how it looks. Oh, look at this nice halftime performance.
You know, the Japanese really thought the halftime show was very important, so they had to put it into the game.
Look at the girl's skirts up. That's so funny.
You know, Tecmo, the company, not the game, they're really into showing girls, like, scantily clad.
Oh,
Have you ever played Dead or Alive?
Dead or Alive,
the fighting game,
or the volleyball game.
Or the beach volleyball game?
They're all about it.
There's definitely some fan service in all of their games, and even translate to their sports games.
Picked off.
Come on!
Dave Dorson. That's another thing that makes these games unique is the cutscenes.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a very Japanese style development. Throwing in cutscenes, like action cutscenes, and it works so well. In this game, is there really action cutscenes? I don't think so. I didn't see any yet. Besides for the touchdown one.
I don't think there are. I don't know. Maybe the arcade version has them. But I've never played the arcade version, so I can't tell you.
Yeah, this game is definitely better than, in my opinion, the arcade version. The arcade version looks better, but this one plays better, and that one has no NFL players. Well, for a field goal again.
Yeah, this one is the more popular of the games.
And rightfully so.
I think it was partially due to the arcade version not being widely available.
Yeah, because it's a huge machine and it's a 2-monitor system. So I'm sure it was expensive. What do you think of the music in this version?
The music's good. It's just not as good as the music in Tecmo Super Bowl.
Yeah, it seems like they used the same tune for first downs.
Yeah. Sound design is really important, and this game has good sound design. I don't know how that went through.
Another thing I noticed is the slides in this game. Like, you move.
Oh, crap.
They carry more. When you slide with your player, you kind of there's more range to your slide than in Tecmo Super Bowl.
It might be partially due to the larger sprite. They might move about the same distance because your sprite's bigger, you slide more.
Possibly.
Ooh, Jerry Rice!
I don't know how he's catching these.
Double coverage.
Maybe I'm gonna have to retract the statement I made that it's always a pick.
From what I was reading, it sounded like when you select the play, it will always get picked if there's anybody there.
It's just because it's Jerry Rice.
That might be too.
Boom.
That play does not leave me a lot of options. I'm kind of regretting picking the Niners because I don't have much of a running game. Because that one play is just up the middle and you're there every single time.
It's not a good running play.
And I don't want to pass every down.
Really, I do. Well, not with Walter Payton. Walter Payton, the ratings that were broken down on the
come on,
Ron Rivera.
Every time I don't throw to Jerry Rice.
Line of Panthers. Yeah, the ratings that they broke down on the website, the Tecmo Bowl versus RBI, Walter Payton is the second fastest running back in the game.
Behind
Bo Jackson.
That's what I would think.
See, I feel like I'm out tapping.
You're definitely out tapping me.
So
the statistics definitely play into it.
I'm trying to think if it's actually better that way, more balanced than like a quarterback. Oops.
Yes.
Than like a quarterback just knocking off a lineman coming in all the time because you could tap fast.
Well, you know, whatever. I finally made the running play work for me.
You got a few yards.
This play selection kind of sucks.
Well, there's only 4 plays. Oh, I thought I picked that off.
Roger Craig.
I think I would be picking your play more often.
You would think. Apparently I'm unpredictable, or maybe it's a side effect of talking. You're not thinking about what I'd actually run.
Yeah, I'm not really thinking about it.
I mean, I haven't been really thinking about it too much. Even a lot of my plays on offense until the second half. Oh my god.
Automatic
in
touchback.
The end zone. Automatic touchback.
Yeah, that's one of the rules that you can pick it off and then leave the end zone. It doesn't have to be a touchback.
Well, there was probably a programming reason for that. From what I was reading, this game did take over a year to develop. It's funny to look at this game and then think about it taking that long, because you could probably make a game like this fairly quickly by yourself nowadays.
I don't know if it's really that easy, because if it was, I would try to make a retro version.
Probably not this polished, okay? But I mean, there are some good.
Maybe a talented game developer.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't mean like me or you.
Oh yeah,
but there are some programming, like easy game programming engines that you could make something like this pretty quick if you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, I was one to always love to hold out for retro remakes, but I'm kind of past that. The last Tecmo Super Bowl that came out, or Tecmo Bowl, was Tecmo Bowl Throwback on the PS3 and Xbox, and looked pretty good, but they remade the wrong game.
Yeah, it was based off of the Super Nintendo version, which in the Super Nintendo version, it's not a bad game. The problem is everybody is significantly slower than they were in Tecmo Super Bowl. So the game just doesn't play as well.
No, it's the games. The games take a little bit too long, and as this series, you got to pick your play.
I thought I picked it.
And this is something we'll talk about throughout the series of these podcasts. But as the series got more simulation-like, that's when it started to go downhill. They hit in my opinion, they hit an arcade sweet spot with not only this game but Tecmo Super Bowl. As far as the gameplay goes, like this is a fun arcade-like game. It's not simulation realistic, but it's the closest thing they had at the time, and it's just a fun game to play because of the way that they made it.
Well, this game is based off of an arcade game, so it does have the arcade style to it. And even Tecmo Super Bowl for the NES that holds the same arcade style, but they added more simulation elements into it, but it wasn't an overkill of the simulation elements.
No.
And I think it's actually the sweet spot of simulation in that game.
Yeah, they started nerfing the speed of the players in the Tecmo Super Bowl for the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, and it wasn't as exciting each play because it was more of a grind down the field than a 100-yard bomb. A 100-yard bomb JJ that you could do at the end of the half. I mean, it's a low percentage that it's going to happen, but that's what makes the game exciting.
Yeah, I love throwing 100 yards.
And that's something you can't do, the JJ in this game. And if you're not familiar with Tecmo terminology, JJ means jumping jackass to catch the ball. And when you throw the ball to a receiver, there is no JJ animation in this game. So a receiver won't jump to, there's another pick, Joe Montana having a rough go in this one.
I should have picked the Raiders.
The Raiders. Running.
The Raiders were still in Los Angeles at this point, correct?
I believe so. I believe the Raiders were still in LA. It's cool too, like on the top, how they have the statistics for the player. How it said McMahon up there, 56% points, 24 touchdown or 56% completion passing, 24 touchdown passes, and it says that for the offensive players, which is cool. And I think defensive too. We'll play another game and see. But this Tecmo Sports News. This is like not too much detail there, but shows like a newspaper, and it's a lot like RBI baseball.
Yeah, I would say.
All right, let's switch controllers. I'll let you be player one. Sometimes it comes a little bit more natural to be player one, since if you play the computer, you only get that option to go that way. And in this game, I'm going to be Miami Dolphins, the Dan Marino.
So they are the Los Angeles Raiders. And I will go with them.
All right. I like how you see how it says Rygar and Ninja in the scoreboard, how they're advertising for the other games.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting, but also very clever.
I think Tecmo likes to do that.
Oh, yeah. So you could see right now that it has 10 field goals, 52%, which is actually pretty terrible. If that's actually his statistics.
What is it based off of? So is it trying to give you a basic idea of what there's...
No, like that. I think that was their stats from the previous year.
Okay. Yeah, so it was trying to give you a basic concept of what their stats are.
Yeah.
Alright.
So you can kind of tell how good that player is or isn't. This is Marcus Allen. So they have a 2 running back offense. They have Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson. So I think one of the runs is for Bo and the other one's for Marcus Allen.
Marcus Allen's still blasting up the field.
Even though Bo's the fastest in the game,
he only has one running play for himself.
And since you can't change the playbooks in this game, there's really not much you can do about it. Oh yeah, I'm loving this.
Oh, I can just throw an interception. That's what I can do about it.
Yeah, that was nice. Oh man.
Oh, that should have been right back.
So I'm gonna have to say, after just playing these 2 games, I haven't played this game in a while. I mean, I have played quite a bit of it, but he was covered, and that was not a pick.
Oh, Howie Long.
Oh, flicking him off. Popcorning.
Howie Long didn't really do a good job for Radio Shack because they're going out of business now.
It wouldn't matter who their spokesperson is. It's just technology has advanced past what Radio Shack can provide. It's easier to get something specific you're looking for. Oh man, at online, you know.
I disagree. I think Radio Shack's great.
No, Radio Shack.
To go on a weird tangent, did you hear that Nick Cannon is trying to keep Radio Shack alive? He's backing it, and he has creative control over Radio Shack. I heard this a few months ago, so I don't know if it holds true anymore. So I'm not going to continue talking about that, but I think it's kind of funny.
That is definitely interesting. I don't really know what to say about it. Ugh. I think I'm going for it.
Oh yeah? You think?
Yeah, Radio Shack, it had its time. You know, the NES, so you get a lot of the RF switch from Radio Shack. They had stuff like that.
Did they ever carry NES games or anything like that?
I don't know. I don't remember. They may have.
I remember them carrying...
I know they had accessories, but they've been all over the place with technology throughout the years that they probably had a small selection of NES games.
I know at some point they had video games there, because it was either the Xbox 360 or the original Xbox, that generation. They had some video games there.
Well, I think Radio Shack might end up like Blockbuster. Just a thing of the past.
It's so bizarre not having a place like Blockbuster around anymore. I felt like the best use of it was renting video games, but it was probably because we were young and we couldn't afford to buy video games because of the price. So it was a good opportunity to give a try to some games that you probably never played. And now, I mean, the equivalent of that is probably the Redbox, but...
GameFly, too.
I think that stuff's not as attainable for kids. You know?
I think with the Redbox being at the grocery stores and Walgreens and stuff, I think that's pretty obtainable. It's just a matter of if that game is going to work or not. But yeah, that was the thing back in the day. You could just go pick up a game like Tecmo Bowl, try it out, see if it's something to put on your birthday or Christmas list. Because these games, with considering inflation, these games were expensive.
Yeah, it depended on the cart too. Like a cart like a Zelda cost even more because it had a battery in it to keep save data.
Yeah, I saw like Mark Duper, Super Duper, got some moves, touchdown. I saw an old ad for, I think it was Toys R Us, and someone posted on Twitter, and like the Genesis games were like $69.99.
Yeah, and then you think about how much they cost now, and I remember when it made the jump from the Xbox, PlayStation to and GameCube generation, where the games were $49.99, and the next generation, all of them were $10 more, and people were upset about that. It's kind of amusing to look at how much games actually cost before the generations.
Yeah, it seems like the attitudes of gamers have driven the prices down. But then there's such a flood of games out there because you have people still playing all these old systems with games that they love and you could still enjoy. So there's just, as new games get developed, there's still the old games out there in existence, so you're still competing with those games in reality.
Ooh, both.
It's like, do I want to spend my money on a retro Nintendo game, or do I want to buy the new Madden?
Yeah, I mean, that's an option you can make, but I would say a lot of people are going to go for the new game over the old game. We fall into a niche. Oof, Bo, he knows best.
I'm not feeling Bo right now. He's really tearing me up.
He is significantly faster than anybody else.
I'm really surprised by that because when you look at his statistics in the NFL, he really never had excellent statistics throughout the whole year. I know he did play baseball too, so I don't know if he missed NFL games because of it. Because early in his career he was on the Royals, and then after he got hurt, he was on the White Sox for a year or two. Where did it say Bo Jackson's stats were?
That's a good question. I'm not going to tell you if I'm going to let you see that right now, because that would tell you which play I'm picking.
That's the problem. You can't go into your lineup and just look at the players.
Oh, come on!
It was a close one. Your quarterback just doesn't have the cannon.
I think it's all about the positioning of where you get your player, and if it's right in front of your sprite and the ball is there, it's an interception. If the players are off to the side, it's not going to get picked.
Notice how the color of the ball is actually different right now.
Well, the NES can only support up to 4 different colors per sprite. And I think it's 3 unique colors, or in black and white has to be one of those colors.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that, but if my memory serves me well, that's the truth.
Has it served you well in the past?
I've been doing pretty okay in this podcast.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's probably because I studied a little bit before coming here.
You did a quick cram, so you're proven to be able to cram for a test and maybe pull out a C.
Oh, you gotta give me a little more credit than that.
Alright, I'm not in a good situation here, so I'm gonna punt it away.
Oh, you better do that.
So, as far as I know, there's no tournaments for this game. Because that was one thing, listening to some of the podcasts for the Tecmo versus RBI baseball, they didn't have any official tournament for Tecmo Bowl. I would, if the Madison guys were still running the tournament, then it would be kind of cool to see this game, a tournament in this game, is like a side event or something. But maybe that's an idea for a tournament organizer in the future.
I think that this game is not as balanced as Tecmo Super Bowl. So that's probably why this game is not ran as a tournament.
Yeah, I think you can, because there's only 4 plays, depending on what player you pick on defense, and if you picked, one of their run plays or pass plays, I'm pretty sure that you can get this game down to a science, almost. Oh!
Yeah, finally, punching it in.
Marcus Allen, the Raiders' run attack is tough.
I wish I had 4 run plays instead of... I almost tapped through that and screwed up the field goal. Miami is MIA.
Defensively on that drive, yeah.
No, that was what was in your end zone. MIA.
Yeah.
Because that's the initials for Miami.
I know. You don't need to explain that to me.
I just never put 2 and 2 together. Come on, Howie!
Oh, man. Too bad it's halftime.
Oh, too bad you weren't paying attention. You could have kicked a field goal.
Not from where I was.
The marching band. Have you ever seen a marching band at an NFL game?
I have not.
This chick's trying to get her to call her.
Call me maybe. Yeah. I like their sense of humor.
Or she was doing hang loose. I don't know.
It's crazy to me that we kind of know that the Japanese developers dominated the market in a lot of different genres, but the fact that they actually made the best American football game is beyond me. Like, how does that happen? Because there was no game better than Tecmo Bowl and Tecmo Super Bowl. And that, that has probably dominated that market for at least 3 or 4 years.
Do you know if it actually transitioned into sales, these games being better?
I know the sales of Tecmo Super Bowl had to be great, because, everyone that I knew that had a Nintendo had that game.
Yeah.
This one, not as much, but as far as what I know, it was definitely more popular than the arcade. And people have fond memories of this game as well.
Are there any games, football games from the NES that you would say are even come close?
Not that I've played. I remember having the John Elway quarterback, and that game was awful.
Is that game isometric view of the field, or?
I don't think it's isometric. I think you're thinking of like play-action football on the Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah, okay.
I think it was going up and down. It was so bad that that was one of those games you stick in for maybe 5 minutes, and you're just like, wow, I just can't play this anymore. Dan Marino.
I would like to see the numbers between, a game that's endorsed by a player versus the numbers of a game that's just called Tecmo Bowl. I would think that audiences wouldn't recognize that this is even a football game until actually picking it up.
That happens a lot in this game. It's pretty easy to block the field goals because you have to wait for the power meter to go up.
Did you miss your opportunity? Or I just get in there?
You just got in there and tackled me. I didn't even get a chance.
Ooh, you picked my play and I was still dodging people.
It's both. Who knows? So apparently this doesn't really have to do with Tecmo Super Bowl, but it has to do with the competition, Madden, that they developed the first Madden for computer, and it didn't have 11 on 11. I think the first Madden came out in like 1988, if I'm not mistaken. But Madden himself looked at the game and he's like, I'm not putting my name on that. He's like, football's 11 on 11. There's not 11 players on there.
Boom!
So he actually had the developers change the game to make it more like football, because he wasn't going to put his name on something that had less than 11 players.
He probably had no concept of how to make a video game.
Oh no, but you could look at it and say this is football or this isn't football.
Yeah.
I was just playing, actually yesterday.
Ah!
My friend Mike were playing. We were playing Atari 2600, and get in.
Be enough.
Oh, we missed it. We got a ball game on our hands. We're playing the Atari 2600, and there's a game called Play Action Football. And you look at it, and at first you're like, this game has got to be terrible. But then as you figure out how the controls work, it's actually a fun game. It's better than some of the football games on Nintendo, to be honest. Because you take your player, and there's 5 guys on each team, and there's 4 guys on the line. So you take your quarterback, and you tell the guy to either go for a route by pressing the direction, or stay in and block. And then on defense, you tell them to either go in pass coverage or go in and blitz. And then your quarterback can either sneak it, or he can throw a pass to the guys who went out.
So are you actually physically controlling your character, or you're just...
Yeah, you're controlling. You're controlling the character. You're controlling the quarterback, and then you could, by pressing a button, you could pass it if you're behind the line of scrimmage. The only thing is, like playing Tecmo Bowl right now, there's a loft to the pass. Oh, look at that popcorn.
Was it just a laser beam?
Yeah, it's just a straight pellet pass. So if your defender gets in the way of that linear path, then it's a pick. So that was the big flaw of that game. But otherwise, there was some strategy behind it, and I was quite surprised. So I would say Tecmo Bowl, it's they were the ones who invented picking which receiver to throw to by just tapping the button. And these days they use different buttons to decide who you're going to throw to, but really there's nothing really that wrong with the way it is in this game.
It's really interesting. It was probably due to the limitations of the console that they chose to do it that way. And then in further games, they continue to keep it that way. Even though the Super Nintendo, has plenty of buttons on it where you could do icon passing. They stuck with it. I mean, I'm assuming it's because the defender is basing off of where to go based off of where that icon is.
Too far back. Yeah. Well, it almost seems like switching which player you're passing to is like a natural, even though you can fly through them, it's more of a natural progression of where the quarterback's looking. So the defenders can kind of see where that arrow is on the field, and that's kind of like resembles where the quarterback would be looking. Whereas, in a modern Madden game, you don't know where the quarterback's looking because he has all 5 options.
Oh, come on.
Oh, big pick.
I shouldn't have gone with that. I saw the blitz and I got trigger happy. Should have just took the sack.
I think at one point too, Madden, they tried to do something with where the quarterback was looking with the QB vision, and that made the game just terrible.
Yeah, I mean...
They forced you to use that online too.
I think part of the problem that EA suffers is you don't want to change the formula too much like NBA Elite, where people don't want to play your game anymore and you just don't put out a game for a couple years. And, you know, they don't want to put out exactly the same game, but they pretty much always end up doing it.
Wow.
So they just remove and add features and call them new.
Yeah, they're good for that. Big field goal try. What?
I thought that was it.
Oh man, I should have gave it a little bit more power.
Okay, I got 50 seconds. Is it 50 Tecmo time or I don't understand. You only have a minute and a half each quarter, right? So it's like a real second. Or is it a long second? I'm just gonna keep talking to you to distract you.
It seems like it actually just counts down normal seconds in this game. It's not like an accelerated clock.
Oh, bad cut.
Really gotta buckle down here. I should have looked on that website to figure out who was the best defender on Miami.
You should have done a lot of things.
Well, let's pause the game and let me go check that out real quick.
Yeah, just pause the recording.
No!
Alright, we're in the red zone here. We've got 30 real seconds. Alright. Sorry for the silence, but this is intense.
This is what the doctor ordered. No!
Yeah! Oof! Marcus Allen. Putting it in there. What a high five. And knocked the quarterback back on his ass.
Not good.
I almost tapped through that one too.
It doesn't matter. I don't think I have enough time to score here. But 18 seconds.
So you want to know an interesting thing about the helmets that are in the end zone? When I was a kid, and for a very long time, for some reason I thought that was like, do you remember the logo for Sonic and Knuckles?
Yes.
Well, it kind of resembles that, and I never put two and two together that was a football helmet, and it looks really similar to that logo in my head. So I thought it was like the Sonic and Knuckles logo. I knew it wasn't that, but it looked so much like it that I thought it was.
I know what that logo looks like, and I don't see the resemblance, but...
You also were a lot older.
Launching one, but time's run out. You've won the game.
Yes!
Los Angeles wins, and you still got the same guy over there on the left. Tecmo Sports News.
It's the same guy? That should be Marcus Allen right there.
Yeah, it's either Marcus or Bo. Just tearing it up.
Except they're white.
Alright. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter in these old games. So, I think we did a pretty good job covering this one. So, we'll be back soon with covering my favorite game of all time, Tecmo Super Bowl. So, this is Retro Sports Gamer Tom signing off.
I'm Matt.
He's a
or what you like to call me, Lumberjack Cracks.
And yeah, thanks for listening.